Good evening, class. Today we're going to watch a video on Chapter 1, Lesson 2. Your lesson objective today is that you can express a whole number as a product of its prime factors. So let's look at some vocabulary words. A composite number is a counting number that has more than two factors. A prime number is a counting number that has exactly two factors, one in itself. A factor is a whole number that divides evenly into a whole number. And a prime factor is a factor of a prime number that is also a prime number. This might be a little bit confusing to you, but you'll see it when we start. But we need to know these in order to solve the problems in this next assignment. Writing a composite number as a product of its prime factors. A composite number can be written as a product only using its prime factors. This is known as prime factorization. Example 1. If I take the number 6, and I figure out two numbers that multiply together to equal 6, you have 2 times 3. So the prime factorization of 6 is 2 times 3. Example number 2, 12. 2 times 2 times 3. So the prime factorization of 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. And I know that you're probably asking yourself, well, how am I going to do this when we get to bigger numbers? And that's what I plan on showing you next. The easiest way I feel to find the prime factorization of a number is to use a factor tree. So the first step is to write down the number. There I wrote down the number. And then it's to draw 2 lines because you're going to be using a multiplication problem. So I'm going to draw this and this. And I'm going to think of 2 numbers that when you multiply them together, they give you 30. The 2 numbers that came into my head immediately were 5 and 6. Okay? The next step then is to circle any prime numbers. 5 is prime because the only numbers that go into it are 1 in itself. 6 can be broken down to 2 and 3. 2 is prime. 3 is prime. So now we have a list of all of our prime numbers. And what we're going to do is we're going to write them in order from least to greatest. So 2 is smallest times 3 times 5. So one of the questions that you probably have is, well, how do I know if a number is prime or not? And once again, a prime number is a number that is divisible only by 1 in itself. And what we'll do is we'll show you where you can access a list of prime numbers so you can have that with you when we're working on the assignment. So let's practice. We got 6. Okay, so the problem number is already written down. Now think of 2 numbers that when you multiply them equal 6. And we're not talking about 1 and 6. We're talking about 2 other numbers. So we have 2 and we have 3. Both those numbers are prime. So the prime factorization is 2 times 3. If we do 15, think of 2 numbers when you multiply them together equal 15. I think of 3 and 5. Those numbers are both prime. And we don't have anything else to go, so we write them in order from least to greatest. 3 times 5. And 36. When I think of 36, and there are lots of different combinations. You can do 6 and 6, 4 and 9, 2 and 18, but I always tell kids just do the one that pops into your head. It doesn't matter which one, because if you do it right, you're going to get the same answer regardless. When I think of 36, the first 2 numbers I think of is 4 and 9. 4 can be reduced to 2 and 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Those numbers are both prime. And then 9 can be broken down to 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So we have all prime numbers. So we're going to write them down in order from least to greatest. So 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. And then what we want to do is, what the mathematicians like us to do is they like us to write this in exponential form, which means if we have multiple numbers, there's two 2's, so we're going to write it as 2 to the second power. And there's two 3's, so we're going to write that as 3 to the second power. Now once again, if we look back here at this, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 9 is 36, and that's our starting point. Tomorrow in class, we're going to do page 18, 1 to 18. If you're not feeling very confident, don't worry about it. By the time we get through these 18 problems in class, you will know how to do this, all right? So get some sleep and have a good night, and we will see you tomorrow.